What's good, everyone? This is Marcus the Fingaz, Dafingaz. I'm a music producer and composer. I've worked on projects for Disneyland, National Geographic, Smithsonian. Just had a movie released on Amazon Prime Video called Hemisphere. Definitely check that out. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel also. And in this video, we're going to talk all about the FabFilter Pro R2 reverb. It's an incredible reverb. Shout out to FabFilter for providing this reverb to one of the media companies I work with, who were looking for people to review it. So I was like, yo, I want this plugin. So they sent it to me to review for your pleasure at no charge. Even though they sent it to me, they have not had a chance to provide any feedback on this video, or that will not affect my judgment on the video. But I have been using the FabFilter plugins for a while, especially on iOS. So if you're not familiar, FabFilter has had their plugins on iOS for probably several years at this point. I used to produce exclusively on iOS for about 3 or 4 years, around when the pandemic started, maybe 2 years before the pandemic, and then 1 year during the pandemic. I was exclusively producing on iOS, and then shifted to Logic when the pandemic hit, and now I'm in Logic Pro. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you this track I'm working on. I'm hoping to get an artist on it. It's like a trailer, epic cinematic trailer track, and I want to get an artist on there, and I'm going to show you how I've used Pro R2 for some of the elements here. So I'm going to just play this snippet that I have of the track. So here we go. We will stop it there. So we're going to go through each of the stems that I have, and I don't have reverb on all of them, but the ones I do have, I'm going to show you what I'm doing there. So first, with the percussion, I'm just going to play a little bit without the Pro R2. And the plugins that I'm using for this, a lot of them already have built-in reverb. So I like to use the Pro R2 or just any reverb before I had Pro R2 to sort of glue the elements together. So in this case, I'm using about a 2.5 second delay on the reverb, or space on the reverb. I have some of the highs rolling off, some of the low mids, upper mids, around 600 rolled off. And this might have even been a preset, but this is how it sounds with the reverb. So you hear a little bit more of the reverb fading out there. I had the mix at about 22%, 22.5. And you have these different settings. I'm not going to go over all the settings because there are some incredible videos on the FabFilter site and some other reviewers who have gone over the details of this plugin. And then you can also see the difference between Pro R, the first version, and Pro R2. What I like about the plugin, what I like about most plugins, is when you have the feature to scale them. So I'm at 200% right now, but you can go 100%. If you have a smaller screen, you can go, where was I at? Medium, extra large. So you have all these different size options, pause. But we're going to go back to, where was that? 200% monitor default. And I think you can have it set to whatever monitor you're plugged into. And you also have this option here where I can go full screen with it, and you can just see all the details. If I wanted to add nodes and adjust some of these different knobs here, again, you can go into different details. I can adjust the scale of the graph that I'm looking at from 90 dB to a different scale. Sorry. And then again, you have all these settings, pre-delay, character, thickness, distance, space, brightness, width, ducking in the mix. And then you can also freeze the reverb. You can have different A/B copies. If you wanted to do an A/B test, you can copy from one to the other and tweak some knobs and say, I like this better, I like that better. You have undo, redo. Again, I'm flying through this. You have different algorithms, the modern, the vintage, the plate, reverb, and then you have the gate and all these different presets that basically where I start is I just go with the presets and I just start from there. You can import IRs, which I didn't even realize before. I have a bunch of IRs and I probably should import into here. That might be another video. Yeah, this is how we roll it. So I'm gonna go through you just heard the percussion. Again, I'm not gonna go through all the plugins here or all the settings in the plugin. Let's see, do I have anything on the whoosh hit? I don't have anything on the whoosh hit from Pro R2 or the downer or the boom, because those are mostly just percussive, like in and out, one-shot hits. The strings, we do have some things with the strings. So I'm gonna play what's going on with the strings at this part. Now you can see I have a lot going on here. You have all these different EQ curves and things going. This is using the clear plate preset. So I'm going to turn this off. if you can hear, it's pushing the strings a little bit back into the room, the virtual room a little bit, and that's the sound that I like. It really blended in well with the mix instead of having it more up front and center. So I'm gonna play that through one more time and turn it on and off. And you hear that it's adding a lot of that sort of high energy, the upper high, upper mids, 5K ish area, 4K to the reverb, and I really like that. And then I have a quick decay, quick space, 0.69 seconds, so less than a second, a little bit above half. The decay rate is 25%. Again, this is mostly the presets from the clear plate. I might have adjusted things a little bit, especially the mix. I have around 20% there. But I really liked what it was doing with the strings and how it was allowing that to blend in the mix. Then we have this synth ARP. Let's play what the synth ARP is doing. Let's turn it off. So hopefully you can hear that. The reverb, again, adding actually a lot of space, or I would say a little bit of space in this case, but you heard that the ARP was more tight in a tighter space, but then when I turn it on, we put it in more of a sort of a, not a large space, but a little bit of a medium space. We have the 1.57 second space there. We have the decay rate at 50%. I'm using the 30 seconds. I believe this should be, maybe it is 30 second. I thought it should be 32nd ND, but who knows, who cares? Note Bright Synth Slap and preset, and just adjusted some parameters here. The mix is at about 25% in this case. This is wide, 95% stereo width on the reverb. And yeah, I really liked what it was doing to the synth ARP there. Yeah, so next we have strings long. This is long strings. Pause. Here we go. So I have some ensemble strings going, but then I have that solo violin on top. I did this like I was playing it. So here we have the Pro R2 again. You see, I really like the visuals here. I really like the artwork or the graphic, the colorization. I'd never had Pro R1, if that's what they're calling it now, but I did have the original version. I might have had it on the iPad. I don't have it on the laptop. So this is my first official FabFilter plugin on the laptop. The most of the plugins I've had, Pro C, Pro R2, MB, all that was on the iPad or iOS. So shout out again to FabFilter. So this is what is happening. When I go full screen, at least in my case, I lose this button, which allows me to power it off. If you have your iPad and you're using Logic, or you have your iPhone, you could use something like Logic Remote to, turn on, mute, and things like that, some options. But I'm gonna turn this off, play it again. So you hear that? I'm gonna turn it on. So a good way to see what your reverb is doing is to play a snippet of the track and play it and then stop it and then hear the reverb die out, and you can hear what the reverb is doing. In this case, we are using the artificial cinematic space preset, pre-delay. You see the settings there, character, no thickness, pause, 85% distance, 2.34 seconds, the space, decay rate 76% there. So yeah. You see all the settings here, about 33% in the mix, about a third. So that is what's happening with the long strings. And one thing I love is the visuals here. When you see there's different, all those things mean something. I will leave it up to you to do your official homework to go see what those things are doing. What all of those mean. Some of them are what is being affected by the different nodes and things here in the plugin. Next, we will go to the pad. I don't have any Pro R2 on the pad. I have some on the bass, which is interesting because normally you want the bass to be sort of tight. So let's see what's happening with the bass synth. I'm going to play it with the reverb off. And I actually have like a pulsing thing going, and then I have like the synth bass doing some like fun runs. So I'm using this clear type room. You see it's under half a second, so not a lot of space there. Let's play it with the reverb and see what that's doing. Just a little bit of space, under 20% of the mix there, using that clear tight room. I think this is just the default preset. Maybe I tweak some things down a little bit, but not doing too much because I don't want to have a lot of reverb in this case on the bass, but just to put it in a little bit of a room, a clear tight room. And for the risers, this is the effects that we have. I'm gonna have to go to, let me come back to the risers, then I'm gonna have to go to a different section. You know what, we're gonna just keep going. We're gonna go here, here's a riser. And I just stopped it, but you hear kind of a long decay in this case, or space of 5 seconds, 5.5 seconds. If I turn it off, and in some cases you want to have that really tight stop. So what I would do in that case is I would either duplicate the riser track and not have the reverb on the one where I want the tight stop, or I would automate the bypass on the reverb plugin so that it's off when I want that tight stop. But in this case, I wanted the reverb to die out. You see all kinds of fun things happening on the graph here with the lines. And then you let the tail of that decay out. I really like what that was doing in the context of this track with the risers and Pro R2. Next we have piano. This is the Alicia's Keys piano from Native Instruments. And we have the piano doing this. Almost like a classical type epic, you know, pedal on the bass, at least at this point, just one bass note. We have the piano hall preset. So what I did there was I went in here, I just typed in piano. So you can search if I say, you know, piano, and then I can go through the different options, and I chose piano hall, or I can say, I think in some cases I was like brass, which we'll get to next. And I was like, hey, here's some presets they suggest are brass. But again, go in there, choose between all the different presets and A/B things and see what you like. In this case, I use piano hall, and this is what it sounds like with it off. And with it on. Yeah, so just some epic cinematic piano. Like I said, almost a little classical, but you know, got to toss that in sometimes. Next we have brass, and I think I really wanted a lot of reverb on the brass. I only have under 2 seconds, but you see there's a lot of high end things going on here, some low end bumps, and then a drop out around the mids. This is the brass without the reverb. I'm using the Spacious Hall preset in Pro R2. And the brass already had some built-in like delays and reverb on the presets, the sounds I was using from the different plugins. So this is just, again, to glue the different horns together. And this is with the Spacious Hall. Here we go. So in addition to what was already there with the brass elements, just adding more sort of width from the reverb plugin itself from Pro R2. And last but not least, we have brass low. This is like sort of like what you would consider Brahms, but it's the brass. And I use a tremolo brass, which is a great sound for low brass sounds. Sometimes we'll layer it with like a bunch of other stuff. But this is how it sounds without reverb. And this is how it sounds with reverb. I'm using the 3D vintage ambience here. Yeah, so that is how I use reverb. Sorry, I was replaying. That is how I use the Pro R2 on this particular track. Again, hoping to get it to, I have an artist working on it and hoping to get it to the right hands, fingers crossed, to get it to some trailers. If it does land on a trailer, this video might have to come down off of YouTube. So apologies to FabFilter, but if it also lands on a trailer, a testament to the power of these plugins. So thank you to FabFilter again for providing this to not my partner, but to the company I work with in the media space that allows us opportunities to review great plugins like this. Again, this is my first FabFilter plugin. I will slowly add to my FabFilter desktop plugins. I have the iPad. I will slowly be adding to my desktop plugin arsenal with FabFilter plugins because I really do want the whole gamut. So fingers crossed that I get that eventually down the road. Slowly getting there. But if you are looking for great plugins, check out FabFilter. If you use produce music on iOS, iPad, check out the FabFilter stuff in the iOS App Store. Check it out for desktop stuff. And yeah, definitely check out the plugins. I'm going to play through just this ending part here with the reverb on and enjoy. And hopefully you will hear this song in a trailer one day soon. Here we go.